In this video, we're talking about reliability and problems with the 2022 to 2025, basically anything that comes after the 2022 model year WRX, like my WRX right here. And this will be the most comprehensive update on any problems or any reliability issues that you could face. If you want a VB WRX, if you're thinking about buying one, if you think about owning one, I'm gonna go over literally every problem. I've not just combed through my own experience, but I've combed through the experience of my customers because I sell parts for these cars and my parts are on a large portion of the parts that are on all cars. But also I've gone through data, reporting data. I've even gone through basically every post in every type of community forum just to try to get the most up-to-date, proportional representation of everything that you could face if you own one of these, and we're gonna dive into it. It may be sunny right now, but it's gonna start raining, so we're gonna hop into the car and do a full discussion. There will be some polls. It won't be a boring video, I promise. But we're gonna dive into literally everything you could face as an owner. This isn't negative, it's gonna be a positive video, but let's hop into the car. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in a second. Reliability and problems is becoming a harder and harder thing to talk about with Subarus because they're getting much more reliable. Whether you're an owner, a potential buyer, you name it, you're gonna walk away with this video with every consumable piece of knowledge about these cars, reliability, problems that you could ever need to know. Updated in, it's like, what, May, June? Probably by the time this video comes out. I'm filming this video in midway of 2025. Let's give the car oh my God, this car is so fast. Gotta let the adrenaline come down. All right, so comprehensive problems. First off, is there a high frequency of problems? Because I think half of you think about Subarus and you think head gasket, failed motor, blown transmission, blah, 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 blah. No. These cars are insanely reliable. Insanely reliable. Can something happen? Sure. Can something happen with any other car? Yes. These cars are insanely reliable. Take the WRX out and Subaru got the highest reliability last year, this year, last 12 months, something like that. But the WRX is insanely reliable. So I want to start with it saying it's insanely reliable because now I'm going to go in and pick this car apart with every small problem. But I want to be upfront. If you think this car is unreliable, it is absolutely not. It's one of the most reliable sports cars you will ever own. And don't take what I'm about to say as a reflection of it being not reliable, something I don't like, yada, yada, yada. I'm literally picking apart the smallest things that don't really matter. I can say a blanket statement that everything I'm about to say would not change my ownership of this car at all. Doesn't even make me second guess it. So I just want to be clear as I go talk about every small problem. All right, we're gonna cascade through this. Okay, some people experience problems with gas caps and gas and fueling. I'm still having a fueling problem. These cars, you either sometimes have a faulty gas cap where it doesn't want to open all the time, even though you lock your car, you close your doors, you're in the perfect conditions. Sometimes it's just a little sticky. For some reason, it's not recognizing it. The fueling issue is sometimes it doesn't realize that something about the pressure regulation that stops the auto stop on the gas pump doesn't work. So every once in a while, I'll run into a gas pump where it doesn't auto off. And I've had maybe in the last year, I've had two instances where fuel has literally kind of like come out a little bit without me noticing it. So just, every once in a while that happens, but you get really good at understanding how much gas needs to be put in the car. Just, you can't really set it and forget it. 2, head unit issues. Every once in a while, someone might experience what's considered a blackout with your head unit. I have a base. I know that there aren't bases anymore. I have the split screen. Everyone's like, ew. I've never had a problem with my head unit or anything like that, but some of the premium and limited models have had issues where it like blacks out or it freezes or something like that. It's very uncommon. It sounds like it seems to be fairly widespread that people experience it like once, but it's so uncommon and you experience it once. Is that such a big deal? No. I will say across the board though that the Bluetooth connectivity still is not great. I ended up going with an aftermarket kind of receiver device for Apple CarPlay. You need that anyways for most of these cars if you want wireless Apple CarPlay, which should have been out of the box, at least with the older models. But that's pretty good now. Probably the biggest problem, and I'm just gonna throw this at number 3, even though it's the lowest impact, is the car is a little creaky as you put more miles on it. The interior body panels and kind of like pillars and A-frame makes noise when you drive from time to time. I've made a separate video on that, but it does like creak a little bit when you're driving. It's a little bit annoying. It is what it is. Number 4, I think we're at, is air conditioning discharge. I would say that depending on where you live, if you live in the perfect conditions, it kind of falls into maybe, let's say, an inefficiency with the air conditioning system with this car. It was present in the FA20 as well, where the air conditioning just isn't super powerful if you match the right conditions, i.e. this is just basic air conditioning size capacity relative to how air conditioning works. You know, you take in relative humidity, dew point, transition temperature, and the AC doesn't blow that hard in terms of actually delivering cool air. Can be a little bit of a bummer, but it's not the end of the world. It's just maybe something to think about if you need something. Again, I told you, we're going through all the problems and there's not a lot of them here. I would say paint is number 5. We're gonna stop numbering these because I don't remember where I'm at. The paint and clear coat that come with this car is fairly thin, so if you have any issues, it's gonna chip. Just make sure you have a good paint repair kit and you do good waxing, maybe PPF. It's just damn thin paint, but that's not a Subaru thing, that's across the board. The thickness of required paint has gone down as paint increases its, you know, longevity and its properties, but the problem is it doesn't stop little rock chips and things like that. Next on our list is, and this isn't necessarily a problem, let's say, but I'm gonna call it a problem because I think people don't think about it, but if you want long-term success with these cars, my biggest recommendation is increased intervals for fluid changes. And I know that's not really a problem, but I've now done some fluid analysis on my WRX, and it's just better to like change your oil, change your fluids just more often. I know Subaru does like the forever coolant where it's good for like 150,000 miles. I'll probably do it at like 60 or 70,000 miles if I have this car for that long. I only have 17,000 miles on the car, so, and that's even crazy. I've put on like 4,000 miles in the last 2 months. It's been a low mileage car for me. But I would just say frequent oil changes. Another problem on the list, this is a little bit more prevalent. We're not seeing it just yet. We're just starting to see it because obviously the cars need to get to high mileage for this, but carbon buildup, especially around the intake valves, that's becoming somewhat of an issue. It's not the end of the world, but like the FA, we're gonna have to have some type of cleaning eventually is my best guess, but it's something to think about long term. Another problem that people face, and again, these are all small problems. As you can tell, there aren't a whole lot of problems on this car. Another small problem people face is the car is covered in a kind of textured matte cladding in certain areas around high surfaces. So like when you get out of the car by where your foot swings, there's textured matte cladding, which you cannot repair. And I will say that is something that if you're not careful about, it does damage. And I will say that's going to knock the value of these cars long term. It's just poor placement and surface. It is what it is, but it's something to think about. And then I would say a very, very, very small amount of people are dealing with some types of electrical issues that are affecting, like, they're not like things are failing, but electrical issues that they are causing codes. They're kind of like phantom codes. This is just, in my opinion, something that you get with turbocharged cars. Like, you know, the classic is the FA20, which is the previous generation WRX, direct injection car. You can just get some phantom codes if like you get some weird gas or something doesn't react fast enough. It'll come on in the background. And I think what ends up happening, and I've talked to a few of the folks that are really trying to investigate this, you basically have maybe like electrical inefficiencies that are causing delays in sensors reporting values to the engine under certain conditions, and it's causing a code that once you wipe the code, it doesn't really come back. So it's kind of like it's like hypochondriac. It will fuel a hypochondriac essentially, if that's a thing for cars, where you think you're gonna get sick, but you're not actually getting sick or whatever it is. You guys might laugh at me, but I've been literally driving around for the last like hour trying to think about more problems than I had written down, because as I was talking about half these problems, I realized that like they're barely problems and you guys probably don't even care. But yeah, not a whole lot of problems. I mean, in the reflection of what I just told you, there really aren't any problems. Now, you can find people experiencing one-off things, and of course that's going to happen. That's going to happen with any car, and if you go on the Facebook groups, you're going to hear about people having problems, but you also have to put the lens on that, something like 120,000 of these have been sold in the US or something like that. Out of 120,000, if 10, 12, 13 people a month are experiencing like big issues, that's not a big deal. That's actually really good. And we're seeing them because it's on social media, but in the grand scheme of things, like relative to any other platform, that's a really small number, right? So a lot of it's a little blown out of proportion, and that's just because the aftermarket community for this car is so good that we kind of all tend to crowdsource problem solutions because there's so many knowledgeable people, but it also gives the opinion and kind of like appearance that there are more problems than there actually are. I've owned this car for 3 years. I design parts for them. I interact with like tons of customers. I've got parts on a vast proportion like percentage of the cars of the VB WRXs out there. So I hear about everyone's experiences, and very few people are having problems. More often than not, people are having problems with badly designed aftermarket parts, and that's where stuff comes in. And that's just, it is what it is. There are a lot of companies out there that just want to be the first to get a product to market, and they get the product to market, that gives them the product share, and then they spend time further designing it and optimizing it later in time, which isn't a bad process, right? I mean, think about one of the best intakes, right? ETS was first to market, but then maybe a year, 18 months into it, they put out that you need to have a sleeve, and they sent that sleeve out to everyone, and you put the sleeve in, and it, corrects the air-fuel ratio so that you don't need a tune. But they got first to market. And this isn't a negative about ETS. It's just I have an ETS intake on my car, so it's just something to think about. There aren't as many companies that are good about then correcting it and stuff like that. So it's something to think about. But most of the problems people face are with aftermarket parts, and that I can't really talk about because it's so individualized. And for the most part, as somebody that sells aftermarket parts to people and designs them, there are just brands I won't sell. I'm not going to name brand them. There's products I won't sell. I'm not going to name brand those products, but I'm not going to talk about them in here because I just genuinely don't think you should be installing them on your car. And it's not like all products. It's just like there are certain intakes that I think objectively should not be going on these cars, either because they don't do anything or they do cause issues or codes or every once in a while. Same thing with like the change in opinion around putting a J-pipe on the VA WRXs. We've gotten so good at tuning them, you don't really need a J-pipe to make as much power. You're not going to make as much power, but with the new, green speed and carb and basically everything that's come out with cats on the J-pipes, a lot of people are just saying, don't put a J-pipe on your VA WRX because it's not worth the headache of the codes. The same thing goes with aftermarket parts for these cars. But essentially, this video is the comprehensive everything you need to know about problems and reliability with these cars. There's not a whole lot. And I know that might be a letdown for you guys, but that's the best way to make this video, is to make this video and say, well, hang on, we don't have that many problems. Like, as somebody that loves this platform, there's not much better I can do. I acknowledge it's less clickbaity and it's less, juicy as a viewer, but I don't know, pause the videos every once in a while. So if you stayed this far through the video, let me know in the comment section below, and it would help the channel out hugely if you just said hello in the comments and liked the video, and make sure you're subscribed. Lots of Subaru content coming, and I'm doing a build, so you should definitely check out the build videos. It's a lot of fun. I'll see you guys in the next video.